video I wanted to make. I've waited some time. I've waited about a week. Is that all? It feels like longer. Because I wanted to see if I could make it without crying, and we will see how far we get. I've also put off making this video because I feel like when I make this video, it's gonna be real. Charlotte, I introduced you to, and as much as I don't want to make this video, I feel I owe it to you guys because so many of you have been fantastic with me and I introduced you to her, so I feel like I should continue her story. And so many of you have contributed to her fundraiser, either directly or indirectly with watching the last video, because I've donated the money that video made, and so it feels rude to leave you out of the loop. Charlotte had brain surgery the first week of May, I think it was, middle of May. They took out 95% of the tumour. If you don't know, Charlotte had a brain tumour. So that was really good. She was at, I can't remember the name of the hospital, but it's like a world-leading neurology unit in London, which is obviously like one of the most developed countries for this. So, and she had, I'm not joking, like literally the surgeon that did the surgery like wrote the book on brain surgery. So like we were very happy with the 95%. We found out it was glioblastoma, which if you know is not a good one, and that it was stage 4, which is also not good. After the surgery, she was in and out of hospital quite regularly because the wound wasn't healing because it was leaking brain fluid. I spent all my time at her house. I drove her to the hospital multiple times. I even brushed her hair out because it was quite matted from being in hospital and in surgery, which was the most stressful thing I've done because she had like the surgery here and I was trying to brush and not rip open the wound. She was supposed to go on to radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and the start of that treatment got pushed back because the wound wasn't healing enough, and if you go on radiotherapy your immune system goes away and it becomes a big infection risk. She had her first radiotherapy the first week of June, so it took like a month for this to fix itself, and she ended up having 2 more operations to fix the stent before it was stable enough for her to go on radiotherapy. She went and did radiotherapy. She ended up having a seizure from the radiotherapy, and they had to do a mask, which made her really claustrophobic, that she hated. Radiotherapy, she said, is the worst experience of her entire life. And then she went back for a review and it looked like the tumour had grown significantly. They didn't say anything, but the mood was somber, what she told me. That was on Thursday in June. I don't know the dates anymore. I can't believe we're in July. She was doing really well in the lead up, the last few weeks to the Sunday. She was walking around Hampstead Heath, which is where she lives. She was doing art again. She was feeling really good. She did her first radiotherapy that weekend. Then on the Sunday, she came downstairs from her bed, because her bed is upstairs, sat on the sofa where she always sits during the day, and by lunchtime she couldn't stand up. So she could no longer walk. She was then taken to hospital, and then Monday I got a message from her saying, I've decided to discontinue treatment. It's hard, it's not enjoyable, it's giving me a lot of health issues because they had changed her dosing to doing, instead of 10 doses, she was going to do 6 doses at 10 times the rate, so it was like quite intensive for her. And so she messaged me saying she's decided to discontinue treatment, and that she doesn't have much time left, and that was upsetting, obviously. And my first instinct was I was really angry because she got married in December, so she'd only been married 3 months. And I felt so upset that Daniel and I have had so much time together and they did not get that. I went and saw her. Her decline was so severe. That was on the Monday. By Friday I went and saw her in the hospital because, you know, family and everything first. That hospital day was, and I'm not being dramatic, it was like the worst day of my life. Like, I feel bad being like that because obviously her life is in a much worse situation, but she was in a hospital near Euston. She had a room to herself and it was this little room to the side. It was really dark. She was hooked up to all these machines. At this point, she's paralyzed in half her body. So like no autonomy. She was sleeping a lot. I was holding her hand. She was grabbing my hand a lot. And I went and I knew it would be hard. But I wanted to be able to say goodbye because she was declining so fast. We didn't think she'd last the weekend at this point. And I was doing really well. I was trying to keep the mood light because her husband, not light, but as best you can, because her husband was there and hasn't left her side. And I just wanted to see if he was okay as well as her. Because it just all happened so fast. And I was doing so well at staying together. And then he asked if I wanted to have 5 minutes with her. And I was like, it all came tumbling down. I was, talking to her, telling her, even though she gave up treatment, it's still like the strongest thing she could have done because she would have like lost her eyesight and stuff if she'd done the treatment, and it wouldn't have even extended her life that much more. I was upset, obviously, and then she started getting upset, and that's the thing I found most upsetting was seeing her. She had no energy. She was in bed, sleeping. She was awake for this. She was still herself. Seeing her paralyzed, half her face was paralyzed, and she was obviously very upset. But she was struggling to cry because she didn't have control of her face, and seeing this like strained pain in her face sent me. I genuinely thought I didn't stop crying from that point for like 5 days. I thought like I was expecting a text saying like she's gone. The next few days it was that dire and depressing and dark, and the machines are beeping and she can't move, and just seeing her go from, if you knew her, she was so energetic and bright and bubbly and down for anything, and seeing her reduced to being disabled to that level that fast, and just have to make the choice to say, I'm done. I've waited so long to make this video because I didn't want to, to be fair. I'm not good at emotions. I turn them off. The good news is that she didn't die immediately, although that was really sad. That was our like emotional goodbye. She then moved to a hospice, which was the Marie Curie Hospice in Hampstead, which if you ever feel like you have a ton of money and you need to donate it somewhere, they are by far the most deserving. So she was there for 2 weeks. I was able to see her another 3 times or 4 times. I got to take Bambi, which she really wanted to see the dog because she couldn't see the dogs in hospital. So I got to take the dog to see her. I got to see her again. She was better in the hospice because I think a lot of it was depression as well, with the hospital. She had a much nicer room. They gave her Reiki. She had massages. So they were volunteers that come and do it. And they could take her down to the garden and leave her room because in the hospital there was nowhere to go. So she never left her room, so it was just awful. So the hospice was really great. And I felt like I had accepted after that day at the hospital and the goodbyes that was never going to see her again. And I was so grateful that I got all that extra time at the hospice with her, because she's from the north, she's from Lancashire. So I'm one of the few people that live quite local to being able to visit and be one of the very few with a dog that I can supply. And I went and saw her when I was in the area last for work, and it was like Friday 2 weeks ago, and she'd gone down to the garden and there was a few other girls that had come down, and we had like a pizza party equivalent in the gardens of the hospice, and she was there, and I thought that was a really nice last day. But I could see her decline in that she wasn't talking anymore. She made me a card though before this. When she was in the hospice, she had really shaky hands because she was losing mobility and everything. So she made me a card, and it's like, it looks like a child wrote it, and it says, "Thanks for making my final years memorable." And yeah, and in this day, and when my last time I saw her, she couldn't hold her neck up. She wasn't talking. It was like yes and no. Like you could see it wasn't far away. I didn't go back because I figured she would be asleep for a while before the end. Every night she was very much done emotionally, like she didn't want to be there anymore. She said she felt very disabled because she couldn't do anything. Like she was paraplegic at this point, which was equally as heartbreaking as if she didn't die. Every night she told her husband, who stayed by her side every minute, she would say, "I don't want to wake up, I want to die tonight." And every night he would tell her that's okay and that he loved her and that it was okay if she didn't wake up. And one day she didn't. So it was Thursday the 7th, for anyone keeping track. That's when she passed away in the afternoon with her mum and her husband present. And yeah, that's where we're at. I found it obviously upsetting. I was more devastated from the hospital because I view all the hospice time is bonus. I didn't think I was gonna get, so I'm just grateful I got to take the dog and I got to see her a bit more, and that I was so lucky that she got diagnosed on the 6th of April, and she died on the 7th of July, so it's 3 months from diagnosis to death, which is already hard enough to think about. But her last day before the headaches and everything got so bad, her last like functioning day was a weekend she spent at my house, and we went to Surrey Hills and we did a walk and we went to the pub and we played games, and that was the last time she had fun. I'm sure there was moments of fun in between, but I am so grateful that I had so much time with her. I calculated, and my maths is terrible, so don't hold me to this, but of the last like 3 years or 2.5 years, I saw her so regularly that if you take out sleep, I think it was, and work, it was like 30% of my time was spent with her. Maybe more if you take out work. It was like every weekend, we went on holidays, spent weeks together. We spent Christmases together because of lockdowns, because of pandemic. And that's what makes me really upset, actually, is that it makes me really angry, is that her final years were of the pandemic, which is no one's fault, obviously, but it's just really upsetting that she didn't even have a good time. Like, final year, like, live your dream. She didn't even get the time. Like, if you know you're gonna die, you normally have time to like organize letters and cards and have a bucket list and do all the things you said you delay, and she didn't even get any of that. And I even had, I'm obviously medical, Daniel's medical, you know that. Daniel's a pharmacologist who specializes in cancer. And so we had even like spoken to all of these clinical trial people, get her on like the most up-to-date thing that's like about to be approved, that's not yet available, but it was in Germany, and she was never stable enough to even get there, to get the treatment. She was ready by the end, as ready as she can be, and she wasn't happy. Even if she did, she would have been paralyzed at this point. You know, it's not like she had nothing left, really. So I feel for her husband so much. He was amazing, but I can't imagine going through what he's done. So yeah, her funeral is in 2 weeks. It'll be more of this. It's just, I've almost become so desensitized to it because it's been my normal for so long. But now it's to the point where like, little things, like, I kept telling her to get out of hospital before, so that she could watch Love Island with me, you know? And the fact that she didn't even survive to the end of it, which I know Love Island is stupid, I get it, but that she didn't even last to the final. And I'll be out with different friends, and I'll be at a really cool cocktail bar, and I'll be like, oh, Charlotte, we should take Charlotte here, is my thought. And then I remember she's not here. And that's what's hard. It's like thinking, that I see photos of my travels, and I've traveled a lot. I've been so lucky. And just to be like, she never got to go to Japan, which I know is so stupid because a lot of people don't go to Japan. But for some reason, I feel it's almost like a survivor's guilt that I've had so much. I'm sure she's done things that I haven't, but yeah. So that's where I'm at. I look at my dog and I get sad because she loved Bambi. Pretty sure she was her favourite dog, but I'm sure she says that to all the dogs, but like, they were like, you won't get to see Charlotte again. Side note, Bambi's been barking at the corner of my room for the last few nights, so I'm convinced that that's her. Because I did tell her, she kept telling me she was gonna haunt me. That fundraiser you have all contributed to is actually up to £40,000, which is insane. So if I haven't said it already, thank you. I should have said it before. Should have started with that. I'm sorry, clearly my brain is not on. Her goal, her literal dying wish, was to get that to 50,000. So if you'll just throw in a tenner, we can get her goal and complete what she set out to do. The fact that she got diagnosed with cancer and her first response was like, how do I cure cancer and help everyone? Like, she was honestly the least disturbing person of this. It also makes me mad when I see certain just like old corrupt men in power, like taking away people's rights and like killing people, and or just even just cheating on their wife, I don't know, doing immoral things. And I'm like, how are you here and she isn't? That's all for this one. I'm sorry, I've been terrible. I hope you understand. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following the journey. I'm so sorry that I don't have a happy ending for you. And thank you for all the support, financially, emotionally, physically, not physically. You guys haven't physically supported me. But yeah, it means a lot, and I'm lucky to have a community. So thanks. I'll see you next time.